With many voices you'll recognize and a personality that shines, Cissy Jones can do it all. You've heard this award-winning voice actor in some of your favorite games like The Walking Dead, Firewatch, and The Last of Us. And you probably also heard her in your favorite animated series like Lego and DC animated shorts. Let's get to know more about Cissy Jones. Cissy, how are you today?
I'm so good. How are you, Kadrae?
I'm doing great. It's been this year 2022 has been a little hectic for everybody in part of the world. Isn't isn't great, but I just want to say that like being able to interview you is like the highlight of my 2022. So thank you so much for making
No,
time for me.
that means a lot. Thank you so much. I am so lucky to do what I do and to get to talk to people that are enthusiastic about the stuff that's happening. I mean, I can't ask for much more. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I there I wanted to interview you personally because I want to know more about your story and like your journey and how you became a voice actor. And because this industry is not like not a traditional industry to break into. It's a weird route that most people take because you don't really hear much about voice acting. So Sissy, what got you into voice acting?
Sheer dumb luck.
Okay.
So I graduated from college with a degree in business and Spanish, and I went to work in the Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, working in startups and tech and that whole soul-sucking life. And as you might imagine, I hated it. And I mean, listen, I met some really great people, and I learned a lot about running my own business, but I just always felt like a square peg in a round hole. It wasn't my jam. And my now husband and I were talking one time about dream jobs, and I was like, I just want to be a voice on The Simpsons. It looks like so much fun. I just like, how fun is it to be able to come in every week and just take the piss out of whatever's happening? And but I didn't know how to do it. I figured you just had to be related to someone famous because, I'm from Idaho. We don't exactly know stuff like that. Actually, my mom is originally from Kansas. That's another story. Um, but about 2 weeks after that conversation, I heard Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson, on the radio talking about the Simpsons movie coming out. And she was like, you guys in the San Francisco area, you have one of the best voiceover schools in the country right in your backyard. And I was like, what? Huh? Where? And I called that day and I started taking classes that week. And 2 years later, I was able to book an agent and moved to LA and never looked back.
That is an amazing story. So when you said I wanted to be a voice on The Simpsons, like what was like when you were talking with your husband and like let's talk about our dreams? How was his reaction to that? Is that really your dream?
No, he was like, yeah, I could see that because I'm kind of an idiot. Like I always, I've always done silly voices and I pick up accents really well. And, I love to laugh and I love to be silly. And it just kind of fit with what I was saying. And listen, credit where credit is due. When I made the switch, he was 100% on board and supported me wholly. And, listen, I was 30 when I made the jump. And that's a really scary time to be making a major career change. And he was there. He supported me the whole way. And, we're still together, knock on all the things.
I'll knock on it for you.
But yeah, it's been a dream. I mean, it's not without work. I work hard, I hustle, but I'm never going back.
Oh yeah, no, it would be surprised if you go back. I'm like, why are you going back to Silicon Valley? What you doing, girl?
No, no, I'm good. I'm good.
And so when you finally got started and when you finally booked your first gigs, what was that like? And what were some of the very first gigs you booked? And like, did you feel comfortable in that environment where you like, yes, this is for me?
The first job I ever booked, my second audition was Katya in The Walking Dead.
Really? I love the walk.
And I was terrified. I was terrified. I had no idea what I was doing, and honestly, it's probably a good thing I didn't know what I was getting into because I just showed up and I put 110 into every single session. And I mean, I would leave those sessions just sobbing and like fully drained. And then I'd have nightmares about the zombie apocalypse, you know what I mean? Whatever. Um,
Me too, though. I have those nightmares too.
I know. But on the other hand, I was also really, really spoiled because here's this incredible game with this incredible cast that I could heap love onto forever, incredible writers. And it was, the success that it was. I mean, it was lightning in a bottle. That doesn't happen all the time. You know, most of the time, like, I'll meet somebody here in LA and I'll be like, hey, we've shared like 900 credits. And it's like, cool. All right. Yeah. Bye. But The Walking Dead was like, oh my God, Clementine, I'm gotcha. Ah! You know, and just the freak out.
Hmm.
So it was such a special job. And then I got to do several characters in the series, which was really cool. And I worked with Telltale on other stuff, which was great. Um, and when I moved to LA, I was the voice of a grocery store for like 8 years. So that was rad. I don't know. That's the thing I love about this job is that every single day is totally different than the last. It's really fun.
Yeah, and it sounds amazing. One, because you right now with COVID, you're able to start doing this from your home.
I have had this soundproof booth for 10 years.
Oh
So
gosh.
when the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, what is there a problem? You know, luckily for me and luckily for, the majority of my friends who are working actors, we were able to just not skip a beat and just keep going.
Mhm.
So,
I
yeah.
want to I want to talk to you about like the role in The Walking Dead, and it's a very popular game. I
Which
loved it.
one?
Your main one, gotcha. I want to know more about like kind of like the emotional toll of playing a serious game or a serious character like that, because it wasn't like a very, like, spoiler warning, it wasn't like the most happy ending to a character ever.
Did
and
we play the same game? Yeah, no, totally.
and
It
so
was
like
heavy.
mhm.
It was heavy. So um, Katya emotionally is based off of someone in my life who is one of the most important people in my life. And she, also, spoiler alerts, if you haven't played the season one Walking Dead, stop, just go, leave. Um, she lost her child, and she, had a hot-headed husband, and she was the emotional rock for all of us. And so when I first read the sides, she was the first one that popped into my head. And I kept that thread all the way through. And so like those tears were legit. Like it wasn't me pretending to be, some Belgian lady. It was reliving some trauma. Um, Yay, acting. But then, Sean Vanneman wanted a mild Belgian accent, someone who had lived here since she was in her teenage years, but still had a trace of the accent. And I had a friend who had moved to the States from Belgium, and I just followed him around with a tape recorder for like 3 days getting ready. Because I first did the audition and I did this horrible French accent, and they were like, no, no, no. And so they're like, we really like her choices, but the accent. So I trailed my friend with a tape recorder and got the accent down pat. And then there's a website called the International Dialects of English Archive, which I also stalked relentlessly and still do. And I found the accent for her, and Katya took shape.
I love that. That's okay. So, um, that you had to like be really creative with how you were able to like find the right voice for each character that you played, because not you've not always heard every single voice that they ask you to perform. So you're like, okay, how do I play this voice, or how do I find the emotion to bring this character to life? What is your kind of like tools or mechanisms that you use to do that for each character that you have?
Well, I think you hit on it right there. It's emotion, right? Because how many people in the United States have a Southern accent? Millions. But we all have a different life experience. So I knew Jolene was going to be real hard, right? She's a little bit crazy. She lived in the woods. They had the whole backstory for her where the Dairy Boys took her daughter, and so she thought of Clementine as kind of one of her kids, right? And so like she was going to be angry and hard and relentless. But then Bree was she was kind of dealing with her own crap, and she was kind of whiny too. So it wasn't as hard as Jolene, but it was a little bit more like, come on, man. Um, and then when you get to like Norma, right? Like Norma's in charge. She's a little bit older. She doesn't care. You think you're gonna get Norma? You got another thing coming, right? And her mouth was always like this. So it was always like, how do I keep a scowl on my face? Because she wasn't afraid, right? Um, who else? D was just, you took my man, right? She was also a little bit older and a little bit harder. And so there's just a little bit more in the nose. until she got her face bashed in. Fun fact, I was actually, I went into labor during that recording session. That was fun.
What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on.
Legit. Like I looked into the engineer's room and the engineer was like, she's gonna have a baby in this booth. Oh my God, she's gonna have a baby in it was anyway, we made it to the hospital after I finished the session. But yeah, I mean, it all goes back to the emotion of the character because each person on this planet is having a different emotional experience than the next. And so how do we as actors, I mean, that's our job to tap into that and make it real and not make it feel like, look at me, I am acting and you can see me acting, because that takes everybody out of it, right? So how do you make it feel real? What can I find in my head that would put me in that emotional state and go from there?
That leads me into my next question. You are an award-winning voice actor, and surprise, surprise, right?
Okay, my God. Sorry.
But at the BAFTA Awards, you talked about the power of voice acting and its ability to really give marginalized people and people without a platform a voice. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so I feel like there are a lot of things in play right now that are trying to keep other people down. And for what? Why? There's enough to go around. And what I love about games is that as the technology gets better, as it gets cheaper to make a game with fewer people, meaning the team can be smaller and more nimble, we have the opportunity to bring different voices into play. I mean, listen, I think it is bananas. Can I swear on this?
Of course.
I think it is fucking insane that 2021 is the first time there was ever a game with 2 black leads. That is fucking bananas to me. But it's time, right? Why not?
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to play that game. My children are mixed race, and I want to know what they think about seeing themselves on screen. I think it's important, and I think it's fun. I think it's really cool to see different points of view and not just the same thing every time. There's space for all of it. There's space for all of it.
Mm-hmm. And I loved how you tap into that. Like there's enough to go around. And I think the unique part about video games is that you don't necessarily need to find an actor, a visual actor to play it. You can create the character and you just have to find someone who can give it a voice. And there you go. And there's so many more stories you can tell through video games than I think you could tell in real life with real people. So it's I feel like there's this more creativity and the more voices, the individual voices out there can tell very different stories, the various different opinions. That's why I also love The Walking Dead and like how they had many people of different races all interacting and all just trying to survive, and it was about survival. And
yeah, it's the human experience, and everybody experiences the human experience different. And I think we grow as people when we get to see other people's point of view. You know what I mean? If we just see the same thing over and over and over again, it's just an echo chamber, right? So why not see what happens to the points of view that we don't live?
yeah.
I think it's really interesting.
I want to like tap in. You've been doing this for over a decade now, and all the various different voices, all the people you've gotten to meet. What have been some of your favorite highlights of each one?
Oh man. I will say the first time I met the cast of The Walking Dead, and this is not just lip service. Like I lived in the Bay Area before I moved to LA, and I knew the cast would get together for drinks every now and at this bar in Oakland, and a friend of mine would go, and she was like, "You should come," and I was like, "Oh, I'm a newbie. Nobody wants me there," and she was like, "Come." And I walked in, and it was Melissa Hutchison, who is Clementine, and Gavin Hammond, who is Kenny, and Owen Thomas, who is Omid, and all of these fucking iconic actors who just crush it on a daily basis. And I walked in and my friend was like, "Guys, this is Cissy. She plays Katya." And the room erupted. And it was like I had known these people my entire lives. And to this day, they are some of my close friends. You know what I mean? And like, that's just special. That doesn't happen very often. in addition to that, like right now, I'm working on a show on Disney called The Owl House, which has been so incredible and such an amazing experience. And, that if you haven't watched the show, I'm not going to give anything away, but there was a scene where my character like just blows it up. And, people were saying cancel Lilith on Twitter, and everyone had her picture with a red line through it. And then there was an about face with something else that happened, and now everybody loves her, and it's so fun to see this thing that happens with a 2D character and the sound of my voice. There's just it's really special. It's just I keep saying that, but it's true.
Yeah, no, it's very special. And because of the characters you bring to life and all the different characters and worlds that you get to contribute to, you get opportunities to represent them at conventions and stuff like that. And you are also coming up to Level Up ICT in October
I
with,
am.
with Gavin Hammond and Melissa Hutchinson.
I'm so excited. We've been texting about how excited we are to go together.
Yeah, I am just like, yes, my favorite video game is gonna be here, and I still am getting really, really excited whenever he tells me the new names that come up. I'm like, yes, 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 and like a little child. I know I'm like 28, but still, and
Oh, it's I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the power of a 2D character and our voices. Like I love that so much. And the game means as much to us as it does to the fans. And so to know that there's that kind of reaction and response and reception is just God, it's still like just pinching myself on a daily basis, It's
like,
really cool.
so what is it like to go to these conventions and to meet all these people who love the stuff that you do?
So I was not able to do a ton of conventions before the pandemic hit. So I haven't done a ton. Um, I went to LA Comic Con in November, December. It was awesome. There were a couple of people walking around in cosplay from The Walking Dead. Or, I'm sorry, from The Owl House, which was really, really cool. I've seen cosplay from The Walking Dead, like the people that do the lines on their faces in the style of the animation, and it's so rad. But, part of the other thing too is as a voice actor, one of the things we get to enjoy is anonymity. So people don't always know who we are, which is kind of rad. But it's so fun to go see people get excited and see what's coming up that people are excited about. Before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of PAX. I'd go to PAX East and PAX West. I went to PAX Oz, E3 and stuff like that. And so it's so dope. I love this industry. I love it so much. I love seeing what people are excited about and seeing what my friends are doing. I mean, that's the other thing about voiceover is that it's such a lovely community of people and we all, really cheer each other on. So it's so cool to see what my friends are up to. I love that too.
Is there a character that you felt the most connected to throughout your career over the last decade?
Delilah from Firewatch. I mean, she was like an upside down version of me who zigged when everyone else zagged. You know what I mean? Like she bucked the trend of, the wedding and the 2.5 kids and the white picket fence. And she was like, forget that. Like, I'm not that person. I don't need to succumb to that. I'm going to go do my own thing. Bye. And there's a lot of me that admires that. And there's a lot of me that is terrified of that. You know what I mean? But she was such an easy pair of shoes to put on every time. It was just like home. Recording that game took 2 years. Not because the content, not that we were recording every day, but we would do 2 or 3 sessions and then we would break for 6 months and then we'd do 2 or 3 sessions and then we'd break for a couple of months. And we had to find a time that Rich and I could both record at the same time, which is rare. But every time we got back in there, Sean Vanneman has said that he wrote a lot of my personality into her the more he got to know me. I'm a smartass. Like I said, I like to be silly and have fun, and I like scotch and I like crossword puzzles, and so he wrote a lot of that into her, which made her just, like I said, such an easy pair of shoes to put on every time.
And that's also like a weird avenue, not weird, but like it's such a, I keep saying cool. I'm trying to find another word for that, but
That's cool.
the way you were able to influence the creation of a character that won awards that is internationally recognized. That's
doesn't happen often. I mean, more often than not, when I get in the booth, the script is locked and set, and here's the words monkey dance, do what I say, and like, okay, I'm okay. But Firewatch was such a joy and such a treat. I mean, it was so wildly different from anything I had ever done or have done since, you know? It was really special.
So you do with voice acting, there's so much work to do, even though they might be fragmented with between different jobs. You're always working on something new. What's a day in the life of a voice actor?
Well, it depends on if it's a slow day or a slammed day. I have had days where I have nothing, and those are the worst days of all. And I have had days where I have 6 auditions I need to get in, and I have honestly had a day that I had 5 sessions, and that is bonkers. And that was before it was home studio. That was driving all over the LA basin for an hour there, 30 minutes there, 3 hours there, get home, do that one, and then go to another one. And that's bonkers. Um, so it just depends. You know, more often than not, when I wake up, I need to check my inbox and see what auditions are due for the day. Are they animation, video game, commercial, narration, trailer, promo, whatever? Because each of those are just different muscles. And so, you know, you need to make sure you prep properly. And some take more time than others, and some you can just kind of bang out. And then if I have a session to get to, I get to the session. Some sessions are, I work with Motor Trend. I do one of their shows called Motor Mythbusters. It's a lot of fun, but I do their promos. Those sessions are 30 seconds. Here's the lines. Give it to me 3 times. Great, thanks. Have a nice day. Boom. But then a game session or an animation session, as long as it's not vocally stressful, will be 4 hours. So I go do that. If I can go to a studio, I will go to a studio because I don't have to worry about my internet crapping out or my computer shitting the bed, and I can go let somebody else deal with that. But yeah, it's just every day is totally different.
And so, what advice do you have for somebody who might want to get into voice acting and maybe be a voice on The Simpsons one day?
Right? Well, I still want to be a voice on The Simpsons someday. There's a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. Read it, know it, love it, own it. It was put together by D. Bradley Baker, who does every single creature voice under the sun. He was the voice of Appa in Avatar. He does the harpy beasts for Ida and Lilith on the owl. I mean, the guy does everything. He put this website together because people were constantly asking him, how do I become a voice actor? So he created iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, and it has all the information in it. The most important part about voice acting is acting. It's not about what voices you can do. Anybody can do voices. It's about acting. It's about making the choices and finding the emotions that you can hold on to and bring to a character to make them come alive off the paper. You know, we don't have, as we kind of like to joke, we don't have the luxury of facial expressions and body language in voiceover. So you have to be able to convey that with your voice. And learning how to harness that. You know, it's acting.
I love how you said that. You brought that up because like one big point I think a lot of people have like a misconception about, like, oh, it must be a lot easier to be a voice actor. You're like for The Walking Dead, in your voice, all your characters, the facial expressions that they gave were accurate based on your voice. Like it was 100%. That's how they would look. That's the face that they would make. Like when she's holding her son and she tells Lee that, hey, he was bit. I just thought you should know. And like I was like the way Katya was like that moment, she was just trying not to cry, but she's like, just so you know, this has happened. And then it's just one of those things to where like you did such a really good job at doing that. And so that's what really sets you apart in voice acting. If you can land the voice down and in an acting role, it's so much. I'm thank you for saying that to the voice actors out there that watch our shows, because we interview a lot of voice actors. I want to know about you on your personal life, because voice acting is a busy job as you described. What do you do when you're not in the studio behind the mic? Do you have like a side hustle? Do you do like, is it just family time? What's your life?
Voiceover is my full-time job. I am lucky enough that I am able to make it my full-time job. I do have a family. I like to spend time with them. I like to go hiking. I like to travel. I love to drive. Miss traveling so much. I like to go skiing, snowboarding. I just like to be out. I mean, I spend so much time in this little 4x6 enclosure.
Yeah.
So when I get to get out, I get out. I get out.
And that's good. That's smart. It's like I'm here for 6+ hours a day. Like, get me out of here. Something new,
Yeah.
something random. I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
Sissy. I just want to I want everyone to know, where can we follow you on social media?
So I'm on the Twitters and Instagram at Cissy Speaks. I try to be responsive, but I also kind of take little mini breaks sometimes. I'm also on TikTok, but yeah, you know,
You you're on TikTok?
yeah.
I
But
don't
here's the thing. So it's Cissy Jones speaks on TikTok, but sissy is considered hate speech on
it
TikTok.
is. It is.
So it's kind of shitty for my my name.
Yeah.
So I don't often come up. I like it's hard. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I've tried reaching out, whatever. Anyway, Twitter and Instagram is probably the best place. I do take breaks every now and then just for my sanity, but I try to be responsive.
Awesome. And I cannot wait to see you in the ICT. You're going to have so much fun here in Kansas. I know when you hear Kansas, you're like, what's going on there? Trust me, we have fun
Like
here.
I said, my mom's from Kansas.
Yeah.
My mom
Okay.
grew up in Eldorado, whatever.
You're saying it wrong twice.
I know.
Don't tell her that.
I know. Well,
El
El
Dorado.
Dorado.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, everywhere else it's El Dorado, but like in Kansas, we say it different. Like the Arkansas River is Arkansas River. That one just irritates people. But I'm like, I know, just don't mess it up here in Kansas.
Right. Yeah. No, it's my mom always talked about El Dorado.
Yeah, it was one of those places where I went to college there actually.
Oh,
So
you did?
yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I loved it. I mean, my grandparents lived there. They had a farm and we would catch fireflies and stuff like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the fireplaces were amazing out there. That's one thing I remember. Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I haven't been back to Kansas in a long time, and to be coming with Melly and Gavin is just going to be amazing.
It's gonna be a good time, and I cannot wait to see you. So everybody, level up ICT Con. You'll be able to see Sissy, Gavin, and Melissa, and so many more voice actors. We'll have more of that for you guys later. Sissy, so much. Thank you, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
on. It
Kadrae.
means a lot to me. Okay, until next time, I'll see ya.
Bye.